In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about how you can improve your board games in 3 different ways. And today I'm specifically talking about how we can improve them using a 3D printer, which is going to be the initial training that I produce on this channel, but it won't be the only training and things that we cover on this channel. But I think this is an important one, and it's one that I think has a really huge impact, which you're about to see. As I explain all 3 of these particular items, I'm going to be demonstrating solutions that I've put in place in some of the games that I have that you can see up here behind me. I'll go into a demo of all the different things that I've done, but I think these games in particular have a good representation of the 3 things I'm talking about today. I think number 3 is the one I'm most excited about, and I'm hoping that number 3 is where the majority of this channel's attention will go in the future, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, because I need to know that you actually want this content. Anyway, let's start and look at number 1. So number 1 is the one you're probably most aware of. I think you'd have to be living under a rock if you weren't aware of the idea of storage solutions for board games. Inserts, sometimes they're products that are designed to store the components of your board game in the box in a neater way than what comes in the retail box. How many times have we bought a game before and received something like this, a roll of plastic pockets, and you immediately think, clearly I've got a lot of cardboard punching to do. You've got to put them all in these things. It's a nightmare. I hate it. Once they're in these little baggies, will the box close properly? It's a complete nightmare. I know you know what I'm talking about. Which is why generally when I open a brand new game, one that I've purchased with my own money, and I see something like this, I almost don't even want to bother playing the game until I've created my own storage solution. Why don't we just take a moment to have a look at a great example of a insert solution. Okay, so let's take a look at Sleeping Gods, Distant Skies. Oh, just get this box open. So obviously the big thing about storage solutions is the quick and ease it is to get the game to table and to pack up, obviously. That's one of the biggest frustrations for me as a board game, is like I can't even bother think, I wouldn't mind playing that, but I can't be bothered setting it up. Certainly can't bother packing it up at the end of the session or whatever. So this is an example of a storage solution I've created, designed. I've got a player card thing here, but again, I'm not going to go into that one particularly for today. The thing I most want to show off is the treasure chest thing here. Take this out. Just put the game aside for the moment. So this obviously originally came with the cards in it, which I created a separate box for with dividers and everything. It's quite nice. Purchasable on Etsy at the moment. Anyway, so I removed it and I created this storage solution here. So as you can see, very easily lifts out. We've got access to our dice in here. These are the monster cards. I got the Kickstarter version, so I've got the upgraded tokens here, but I kept the older tokens in there as well. Generally, I like to do that, is to not have to throw out or separately store the retail components if I've got upgraded components. But as you can see, this is the main star of the piece. In any normal scenario, you would have to have these individually bagged in the stupid plastic pockets. And then before setting up, you'd have to remove all these tokens, put them in stacks and so on. This way, it's just lifts straight out of the box and you're ready to go. You've got all your health tokens over here. It's all separated beautifully. And then at the end of the day, when you finish playing a game, it's just very quick put it all back in the box, and you're done. I mean, if that's not enhancing your gameplay, I don't know what is. So that's a really good example, and this is actually way easier to do than you would think. Again, I'm going to teach you how to do all of this, how to model all this, how to make sure all your components fit based on their different sizes, because obviously every game has different component sizes. So I'll teach you how to do all of that, how to think outside the box of how to store all those tokens. But that's a really good example of what I think is the very minimum we should be doing to our board games, is creating solutions that make it easier to get the game on the table and to get the game off the table. Okay, things are getting a little bit more exciting now. Let's look at number 2. Number 2 is hard to describe, really. I guess you would call it either like player mats or organization tools. But I guess the point is that it's an aid for the player or players to help them with their gameplay for whatever the particular game is. I'm going to show you a demonstration of what I mean there with Comic Hunters and SkyTeam, which I've created 2 solutions for, which is a really good example of what I would call a player aid. If I had to come up with an example right off the gate, is that I don't know whether you've ever played a game, and I mean there's countless options. Sleeping Skies is one, which I've sort of also got a solution for, which you would have just seen, is that if you've just got like a card, like a cardboard card of a thing, and you're supposed to put tokens on it or pieces on it that are just sitting there, and then the inevitable happens and someone throws a bunch of dice, and the dice come skipping along the table directly towards your player board and knocks all your components off your board. And of course, you can't remember where they were, how much health did I have, is this card mine, is it yours? It's a complete nightmare. So I think player mats aid in basically having specific sections that are recessed for particular components, so they're harder to knock off. They also help with just general layout, so you have to spend less time remembering where things go because it's all nicely labeled and so on. So that's another great example. And another reason why I think it's worth knowing how to do these things yourself rather than relying on other people's creations, because everyone plays the games, board games, slightly differently. They have their own ways they like to lay it out and so on. And so if you've got the ability to do these sorts of things by yourself, that's ideal. And it's honestly not that hard. Again, you learn how to do it in this channel. And I'm only learning myself. So every board I make, I'm improving 100%. So please, again, like, subscribe, come on this journey with me. It's going to be good. Well, let's go have a look at these 2 games now, so I can show you what I mean by player mat / organization tool. Okay, so number 2, player mats. I've got 2 examples here. Let's start with Comic Hunters, which I showed off in the trailer for the channel. But just in case you didn't see that, we'll have another look at this here. So I basically created this player map because anyone who's played this game will understand that the actual board itself is huge. In fact, let's take a look at that. Let's put that to the side for a second. Very small board game table here, as you can see. This took up so much space. There was like next to no room left to actually lay out my card sets and so on. So that's why I decided to create this little beauty that, as you can see, heavily reduces the amount of space that's required to actually play the game. And then in addition to that, we obviously then have the ability, I created this nice little tick token marking which round we're up to, instead of this stupid ludicrous thing which doesn't even fit in the square, which is kind of weird, to be honest. And then for the hero tokens and stuff, they'll just all fit perfectly in here. Right, SkyTeam. This is another really cool one. This one's bordering on number 3, but it is ultimately still just a player aid. So here we have the section that you can pull out. Has all the planes and the like stored fine. I've got all my tokens stored beautifully here. This is designed to go underneath the player icon thing here, which makes it easier for the I won't go into the full setup again because if you don't know the game there's no point, but this I have to take the planes out, but this creates nice channels for the runways to slide. And then this one was nice because I integrated magnets into the design so that you can attach all these attachments. And anyway, I'm not going to bother getting it all out at the moment, but you see we've got all the storage for the dice here. Here's all the other attachments that you can pull out. I just recently got the expansion for it too, so that's what these are. But anyway, yeah, so this is a good example of a player aid thing, which again, it's super obvious where the pieces need to go. It makes it easy to set up. It makes it always, that's why I wanted the magnet, so it's always aligned where you need it to be aligned to, and everything's got its place. It's a nice setup, really. And this one I printed in the colours of the SkyTeam board game box itself. So that's good examples of actual player mats, where it's about making sure that the player has a nice experience in front of them, where everything has its place and so on. Okay, we've finally arrived at number 3. Number 3 is the one that I think is the most exciting, but also the most difficult. Yeah, maybe not. It just depends on how good you are at a particular game. And generally this one will come after you've played the game numerous times. And this is creating tools that actually improve a game mechanic. So you're actually creating something that is actually making the game better, whether it be easier to play. Let's put it this way. It's the kind of thing you produce, you go, I don't ever want to play this game without this thing I've produced. And I've got a really good example of that with Bomb Squads. Oh, sorry, Bomb Busters over here. I created a tool inspired by, and I'll give the creator credit here by creating a screenshot on printables.com. It was inspired by this, but I didn't completely rip this off. I just liked the idea of what they did. And then I modeled my own version to include it as part of my storage solution, because it's always my goal to, if I create something like I did in Bomb Busters, Bomb Busters, I've only just got it. It's always a goal of mine that if I create a tool like this, that it is also integrated into the storage solution. It's not always possible, but it's ideal. If we can get everything in the box, that's the best case scenario, but sometimes that's not possible. Again, I'll go into all the methodologies and theories and so on into how I go about designing these things in a future video. Today's all about just learning about the kind of things we can do with a 3D printer to improve your board games. I think the best way to explain this one is just to go have a look at it. So let's go have a look at Bomb Busters now, and then I'll come back and wrap up. Okay, number 3, Bomb Busters. So we're talking about things that we can create that literally improve the game, that you never want to play the game without that particular item. Bomb Busters is my latest example of that. In fact, it's still under production, which you'll see at the moment. Again, I want to give full credit to the idea to the guy who created it, which I'll create a screenshot in which he's kindly made his solution free to download at printables.com. But again, this one I'm going to have to give a brief overview of how Bomb Busters actually works here, just so that you get an example. I think only the basics. So this is what you get in the box to hold what are called bomb wires. The idea of the game is you've got to disable the bomb without it blowing up as a co-op experience. This is the solution I produced. Again, everything's nicely put away here with certain things. I just need to get one of these wires out. I might need to take it out. Just hang on. The way the game works is like this. This is, again, the included, can't remember which way it goes actually, but the idea is, yeah, I think it's like that. Or is it like that? It must be like that. It doesn't really matter, ultimately. So the idea is you lay out these tokens like this, and without going too deep into the rules, the idea is that the other players that are playing with you, guess what numbers are on these particular wires, and when they select the correct wire, well, there's also these tokens. You can give clues to what's actually at that particular wire by placing down these tokens, and then once you've guessed a token correctly, you lay it out on the table like this. Now, the issue that you immediately find, particularly if you've got a large board game table or you're playing with 5 players, which this game supports, is that it's very difficult to point. You're supposed to reach over and point out in certain scenarios, I think this one and this one might be a 6. So you're supposed to point to the wire, which is problematic when you're across the whole table. And then just the general being able to see these numbers and the alignment, all that, it's just not an ideal situation. Hence why I generated this solution right here. And again, I'm still printing the labeling for the other 4 player tokens. But this solution goes this particular way. So you've got a reference. So now the player across the table can just say, I think it's G and F is the right token. And then we have specific holes. So we get evenly spaced, very easy to place, very easy to read. And then you've got a couple of other options. Probably need to go a bit angled like this. So you're across the other side of the table. You can just say, I believe G and H are probably a 9. Makes it super simple. For the clues, you just create these little flags inside the front pockets, and again, very simple to see. It's perfectly aligned every time. And then when you reveal it, you've got 2 options. You can either just turn it around, put it here, which again makes the mathematics super simple, or if you're a purist and you like to follow the rules exactly, I created holes at the bottom here so that you can insert them as per the rule book. That I hope you can see, and if you know Bomb Busters, you know exactly how good this is. There's no way in the world I'm going to play with this piece of trash ever again, knowing that I've got this particular item. This is a perfect example of something that you can create that makes the game infinitely easier to play, more enjoyable, and actually improves it. So I'm going to show you how to create things like this as well on this channel. So there you have it. 3 ways that you can, I argue, remarkably improve your board gaming experience, specifically using a 3D printer. Again, maybe you're not interested. Maybe you got loads of coin and you don't care. You're happy to just buy existing products on Etsy or from a friend or whatever, and that's okay too. By all means, feel free to purchase off my store on Etsy. If you don't have the money and you'd still like the idea of using this, then I highly encourage you to look into buying your own 3D printer. It's really not that hard, particularly the technology's come a long way, and I'm here to help you through that whole process anyways. So let me know what you think in the comments of any other ways that you can think of that a 3D printer can improve your board gaming experience. One thing I didn't touch on, because I don't think it's like worth deep diving in, is but like creating your own improved 3D components is another thing that a lot of people do with 3D printers. And again, with the age of multicolor 3D printing, that's easier than ever. I'll certainly cover that on this channel as well. But that's not really, in my opinion, improving the gameplay or experience. But yeah, by all means, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you've had any ideas for board games where you'd like to see an improvement that you think you could do with a 3D printer, but you don't have the skills yet. Maybe I can use one of those as an example for upcoming tutorials. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one. Just so you know, while I was filming this video, my 3D printer stuffed up its latest print. Yeah. You'll learn all about that too in this channel, about how to deal with frustrating prints that are hard to print. Anyway, I better go see if I can fix it. See ya.